Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Focus Show. I'm Aidan,
And Clay,
Mix.
and today we're covering the new M. Night Shyamalan film Trap. This film has been getting some buzz, but also a bit of maybe a divisive reaction from some people. I guess I was interested in watching it because I thought the high concept seemed very intriguing, and I've liked a lot of M. Night's other movies. So, what about you guys? What was the impetus for you to want to check this one out?
I try to make it a point to see every M. Night Shyamalan movie in theaters because it's always an event and you never know what you're going to get with him. There's always the classic twist at the end of each movie, which I'll talk about later in this one. Yeah, I wanted to see it in theaters like I've done with Old and Knock at the Cabin. He's one of my favorite directors, but he's also one of my least favorite directors as well. His catalog, it would be interesting if we ever rank his movies.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah, like I'm a huge Shyamalan fan. I mean, even though he has done some stuff that's obviously like flat out bad. I remember after Lady in the Water and The Happening, I kind of stopped seeing his movies for a little while, like Last Airbender and After Earth. I didn't even kind of bother really. But then when The Visit came into theaters, he like hooked me back in, and ever since The Visit, I've been like 100% on board, and I've seen all his movies in theaters since then, since like 2015. I would say that I'm a huge fan of his work, but I'm certainly a person who can acknowledge his faults. And in some cases, like in the case of The Happening, for example, I think his faults are kind of part of what makes me love the movie, and that might be the case here too, but we'll talk about that.
The thing about The Happening is whenever it first came out, I think he tried marketing it as like a very serious film.
Yeah.
But then critics kind of thought it was hilarious. So he was like, oh yeah, that movie was a joke.
Yeah,
It
he
was
kind of
intentional.
it's a little reminiscent about how Tommy Wiseau marketed The Room as a drama, and then everyone thought it was so ridiculous, so he started marketing it as a black comedy. But yeah, I guess I can go first with my thoughts. Essentially, I think the film is pretty good. Some elements of it are really good. I think so. I don't think there's any outright bad elements of this film. I do think there are some that don't quite work that well. I appreciate that he wanted to make like a film like for his daughter, for her like stardom and stuff, but I don't know if I really buy that her songs are like that good to be like the headline of a concert. But I don't know. That seems like a kind of a surface level critique. I mean, the actual script writing is very good. The performances are excellent. I think the third act has proven to be kind of a sticking point with some people. I think some people I've seen don't really like it that much. For me, I think it works well. I mean, the controversy seems to be that there's a lot of different twists. There's like four twists in a row kind of thing. It's so many fake outs that I think it doesn't work for some people. I think for me, each one is kind of explained well enough that it works. The one thing I'm not entirely sure about is the totally like ambiguous ending where it's like, oh, did he get away? Like dun dun dun, he got the key or the picking the lock or whatever. But maybe he's leaving it open for a sequel or just to have that final like twist. I guess that works. I mean, I'd give the film probably like an 8 out of 10 just in terms of the execution. It's the performances, especially Josh Hartnett, that's kind of like a great performance. It's totally gripping in terms of how he blends the two sides of his persona as the like family man and as the like serial killer. It's kind of psychologically fascinating. I don't think I've ever seen a movie about a character like this because it's usually like they're already like fucked up and they don't even try to hide it. But here it's like there's two totally different aspects of him, and over the film you see them converge in a way that's it's very disturbing. I think psychologically a lot more disturbing than you normally get from this type of movie. So I was pretty impressed with it.
So that'd be a 4 stars for you?
Yeah, 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5, whatever that translates
Okay.
to. Yeah.
I guess I can go second. I don't want to end the episode on a bad note, but I did have a bunch of issues with this film. A lot of people say, and I kind of agree with this, that this whole film is just a ploy for us to recognize his daughter as a musician, which that's what it does. But the movie didn't really leave a big impression on me. Premise, the killer takes his daughter to the concert and the FBI is trying to make a trap. There were a bunch of plot holes and things I didn't believe. Like the FBI had a debriefing in the actual concert, but I think they would have done that before the concert, not while that was taking place. Josh Hartnett, he's a great actor, and it's fun to see the cat and mouse scenes in the actual concert, like where there's that one scene where he notices that there's a trap door in the floor of the concert where one of the superstar exits out of, and he's trying to get into that. Yeah, the twists I didn't entirely believe either. Like they set up this whole trap just because they see a receipt and one of the victims, or that could have been a victim, that probably couldn't have been the killer's receipt, because who's going to go to a concert for little girls? Like, I don't know. There were tense moments, some suspenseful moments, but I don't know. I didn't feel like the stakes were that high, even if the movie tries to shove the stakes down your throat. Like, I didn't think one of the people that works there just basically tells our main character what's happening. I don't think that would have happened. And I also don't think M. Night Shyamalan's daughter was the greatest actress. I think she's a talented performer, but whenever she takes the reins as a main character at the end of the movie, I don't think she does the best job. And I had similar issues with the end of Old. Like, this movie makes you think the film's over, but then there's another part that needs to be explained, and then another twist, and then another twist. And it was just a little bit of an exhausting watch. And I'm sure there will be a sequel of this, because it wouldn't be the first time that M. Night Shyamalan has made a sequel to a film. Maybe that will be better than this one. I'm going 2.5 stars for this.
All right, and this is fun because Aidan really liked the movie and Clay didn't like it that much, and I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of there. There was stuff I really liked about it, and some stuff that gives me some pause. I think the first half of this movie, the part that takes place at the concert, is awesome. The way it was marketed, it kind of seemed like that's all the movie was going to be, and that's obviously a twist too. That there's something beyond that setup. I think the part beyond that setup is kind of where it starts to fall apart a little bit. Like the part at the concert is like so focused and so tense, and you're like you're riveted to it because it's so claustrophobic, and you're like, how's he going to get out of all this stuff? It seems like the odds are like so against him. I mean, they'd be against him more if the people trying to catch him weren't like wildly incompetent. But it's still a very tense situation. And I did love. I mean, Josh Hartnett is incredible in this movie, I think. And yeah, like Aidan was talking about, the way he like divides his life into, he's like a psychopath over here and a family man over here, and he's able to keep them separate, and he's able to just kill people without remorse, but still legitimately love his wife and daughter and want the best for them and all of this. It's a really fascinating character, I think. And I mean, if there's any justice, this will make him a big movie star again. He deserves it. I mean, yeah, I understand the criticisms, the nepotism criticisms. I mean, at the same time, I think it's kind of nice. I don't know. I mean, I think if I was in a position like that where I could, like, if I was like a big Hollywood man and I could like help my daughter get exposure, I would probably do it. I mean, because he did that a couple times this year. He did that with his daughter in this, singing the songs, and then his other daughter directed The Watchers this year that he produced. And that movie was really funny, because it's just like she writes dialogue exactly like her dad, which made me laugh. He has that kind of weird, stilted kind of dialogue that I love. I know it's a sticking point for some people, but I know that when I go to an M. Night Shyamalan movie, people are not going to be talking the way that normal people talk. I just I've learned to enjoy it. But yeah, no, it's M. Night Shyamalan's help his daughter's year, so good for him. But I will say, once we get out of the concert, it just gets increasingly insane, and you kind of have to decide, am I going to go with this or am I not going to go with this? It's just like there are definitely plot holes. There are definitely things that don't make sense. There's like that part where he's trying to drive away with her at the end in the limousine and he has her cuffed up. And then, she calls out to the crowd and escapes the limousine. And then the police start shooting the limousine, and somehow the car is surrounded by people, and somehow without anybody seeing, he's taken off his cop uniform, he stacked it in the seat next to him with the thing, and then he's gotten out of the car and gone, put on a disguise, gone across the street, and the car is surrounded by people. So like while it's happening, you're like, oh, this is fun, this is fun, he's crafty. But then when you leave the theater, you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck was that? And there are lots of moments during the movie like that. But you know, and I agree that, his daughter, when she's called upon to kind of do that cat and mouse thing with him and really act a lot more, it's maybe not her forte. I think she's much better as a musician than as an actress. And then you have that face off with the wife that I thought was really tension filled and a great scene, and probably the highlight of Josh Hartnett's performance. I love that scene, that final confrontation they have where he figures out that she betrayed her through this convoluted plan to, like, instead of just calling the police, she like left a receipt in this guy's basement and assumed that they would know it was his receipt or something. I don't know, but then it's like with the pie, with the drugs and the pie, and then the cops are in the living room and they zap him when he goes into the living room because they knew he would see his mother in the door somehow, and then they're waiting the whole time and they don't intervene when he's going to kill his wife. And it's just like you're watching and you're just like, what is the order of events? Like, what happened and then what happened and then what happened? Like, how much of this was a plan? How much of this is just happening? Did she crush up the pills in it? It's like it's just, the more you step back from it, the more you're just like, what the fuck is going on? But and you have to decide if that's a good thing for you or a bad thing. And for me, as a guy who loves Shyamalan for his insanity and his weirdness and his faults, I had a lot of fun with the movie. Like, if I'm rating the movie on a pure enjoyment level, it's at least like a 7 out of 10. And I acknowledge that it is very flawed. I acknowledge that it has a lot of problems. But if you're asking me, did I personally enjoy watching it? I enjoyed watching it a lot. So that's where I stand.
Do you like it more than Knock at the Cabin or Old?
I liked it more than Old. I thought Knock at the Cabin was actually like quite good. Like, I mean, I think it didn't totally stick the landing at the very end, but there was a lot of Knock at the Cabin I really liked. I'd say it's about on par with that movie for me.
Yeah, I didn't see Knock at the Cabin or Old. This is the first one I've seen since Glass, I think. Um, First new one at least. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly interested. Like, I remember people didn't seem to like Old very much. There was a lot of clowning on the scene where they were like screaming and the kid became an adult, like, but yeah, I'd be interested to see it anyway because it's like, people some people seem to like it a bit, so it didn't get the kind of unanimous poor reception that you saw from like The Last Airbender or
Yeah.
whatever. You guys have any furthermore thoughts on this?
I'm always interested in seeing what M. Night Shyamalan does. And, like, this isn't going to prevent me from watching his movies. I wish I liked it more.
Yeah, I get that. I
And
mean,
I
you
mean,
have those movies where you want to like them and then you don't.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've just, even if I haven't loved every movie since Shyamalan's kind of comeback with The Visit, I do think he's like figured out what makes him special as a filmmaker. I think, he tried to like minimize this kind of weird way he writes and his strange sense of humor and whatnot in his early films. And then when he made The Visit, he was like, "Oh no, this is a feature. This isn't a bug. Like, I should just
Yeah.
embrace my own distinct voice, even if it's strange and even if it like turns some people off." And so, I just hope he does that. I hope he keeps it weird and keeps his unique tone and keeps writing people that are total weirdos, and yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy it.
And I'd love to watch his daughter's movie too. I haven't seen Watchers.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. It was pretty good. That's a review for another time because I have a lot to say about that movie, but mixed.
Well, all right. Thank you to everybody for watching, and we will see you next time. And I will actually edit some of the episodes we've been sitting on for a while. So, see you then between this episode and some of the other stuff we've been recording. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Take care.